We're always bringing you the coolest artists, and today's no different. Northwest Indiana stoner riff rock with a groove band, Chokesetter. They just released their self-titled album last month. They just got off the road opening for Crowbot. Then they're going to do some more shows, and they're going to do some more shows, and they're doing some more shows. We'll talk all about it. We're stoked to have drummer Larry Bone from Chokesetter on the show. First, Larry, thanks so much for coming on.
Thanks for having me, man.
Well, I hope all is well with the band because you guys had to cancel a gig the other night in Chicago. Everything's well?
Yeah, we just we had an illness in the camp and had to cancel last minute. So it happens, you know.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, the illness is going around here too, so must
yeah,
be everywhere right now.
yeah,
'Tis the season. Well, we just mentioned it. You guys have been touring quite a bit. I mean, I love it. You just did a run opening for Crowbot. You
yeah.
went to some cool venues. What was the coolest spot?
Oh man, it's hard to say because I liked everyone for a different reason. Um, I don't know. Nashville, Cobra, Nashville was pretty cool. Little place. Um, yeah, man, I can't say because every night was like
Yeah.
super. You know what I mean? So, um, it was just good to get out that way. We hadn't gone that far out east before, and we were curious. We're like, okay, this is it. We're not doing the regional thing anymore. We're gonna have to really to test the waters. We're gonna see if people really like what we do, and it was like majorly successful. So, yeah.
Well, yeah. How is that? Because you're at different. Like you said, you've never been out east that far. You guys pretty much have been doing regional stuff. Is it pressure on you guys? Do you say, okay, guys, we got to up our game? What goes through your mind?
Well, we're definitely trying to get more on a national level. We did a tour in 2023 where we went out west. We went all the way out to California and came back and went through Las Vegas, Texas. I used to live in New Orleans, so we hit there. So we've been a good majority all over the country. In 2024, we drove all the way out to Montana for a festival. So we've kind of
Oh,
been along
wow.
the, the regions of land mass that North America has to offer. We've seen quite a bit of it in the last couple of years. So
Huh.
we just get invited to do more regional stuff, but we are trying to do things on a more national level. Crowbot, they're friends of ours, so they were doing that little mini tour for the promotion of their special release of their new album, and they asked us if we want to go, and we didn't even hesitate. We're like, yeah, this is what we've been waiting for. You
Yeah.
know,
Well, and
yeah.
perfect to go out with guys that you already know is even better.
Right.
Well, like the last night you were in something like New Jersey and you guys drove all the way back.
Right.
Do we take turns? How does that work?
We did. Yeah. It Jesse likes to drive at night, and I can drive for a few hours usually after a show. Um, but I'm usually in bed by 11, 12 o'clock. So, the whole tour thing was kind of different for me as well because we're not even remotely getting to bed anywhere close around that time. The
No.
show's really just getting over, or we're loading out like right around then. So, I would drive as long as I could, and then when I started to kind of doze off, I'd have to either get Steve or Jesse to drive, and I try to get a few hours of sleep just in the captain's chair, and then I'd take back over and drive during the daylight so everybody else can sleep. But we all take turns. Everybody's really good about that.
Yeah. How is it? Because what'd you guys have? Just a van?
Yeah, well, we ended up having to rent a van last minute. We have our own tour vehicle, but like I took it in to get it serviced a couple of weeks before the tour started, and it turned it out that there were some major spots in the frame that were rusted out like super bad, to where if we would have hit a bump, like our gearbox would have fallen out of the engine, and I had no idea about it. You know what I mean? Because we haven't had the van that long. So one of my buddies, he's repairing it right now, just redoing the whole frame itself, but it wasn't going to be done in time for the tour, so we ended up having to rent one from a place called Bandigo. They rent specifically to bands, like touring sprinters that are set up. So we
Oh,
just
that's
got one
cool.
from them, and it worked out great. It was a nice van for sure. We couldn't sleep very well in it. The seats were basically like if you've ever flown Allegiant Airlines, just like it was like sitting in a baby seat when you're an adult. So, you know, thankfully we made enough money off merch to get hotel rooms most of the night. So
Yeah, that's a plus. We're chatting with Larry from Chokesetter. Go check them out, chokesetter.com. They're on Facebook, Instagram, Spotify. Their self-titled album is out. Now they're heading out on the road again in July. What, I mean, I can't remember what Jesse, what's he say? Beard? What's he call you guys? Oh, choke blokes is what it is.
yeah,
And Beardo Nation, everybody has a monster beard in Chokesetter. Do we have,
yeah.
what,
Beard Donation is actually the Crowbot thing, but we're incorporated in that pretty much. So, when we were on that tour and they'd like, hey, Beard Donation and stuff, and it was like, we'd mess with them on tour, be like, we should be calling ourselves that. We're the ones that have the beards, But
exactly.
yeah, yeah, I don't know, man. It was just one of those things. Like Jesse's always had a pretty stellar beard, and then Steve would be on and off, and I'd grow mine out for a little bit, then I'd give up because it'd start to get stuck in like the zipper of my hoodie or food in it. And then after a while, I was just like, the hell with it. I'm just gonna mountain man it and rough it, and it's going okay so far. I don't mind. It hasn't been getting stuck. I'm keeping it more maintained, so gives
Yeah.
me something to do.
Yeah, you're used to it. Yeah, I'm friends with Steve on Facebook, and yeah, his beard is huge right
Yeah,
now.
yeah, it's getting there. It's getting there for sure.
Yeah, wow. Well, you mentioned it, a kid from New Orleans. How the hell did you get to South Bend, Indiana?
I'm from here
Oh,
originally.
okay.
Now I had moved to New Orleans for about 4 years, just to lifestyle change. I'm a tattoo artist, so it was a job offer I got, and I'd been living here my whole life, and it was time to do something different. So I jumped the nest and moved away for 4 years, and ended up just coming back because of wanting to be closer to family, that stuff. 'Cause everybody's getting older, that sort of thing. So.
Oh, yeah. Well, you're still a tattoo artist. You're working at Marble Tattoo right now. How long have you been doing it, Larry?
This year will be 23 years in
Wow.
July. Yeah.
What's the craziest tattoo you've done or place you've done it on?
Man, everybody asks me that. I really don't have anything that like I could collect. It's like I don't have any crazy stories like that. Ask me, have you ever tattooed a guy's blah blah blah? And I'm like, no, I never have. And so um, I don't know. Like I've got maybe a lot of stories, but they would take forever to tell. It's the weird random happenings that would happen over the years, and there's a few memorable ones for sure. You know what I mean? So, but nah, I don't know, man. I think the weirdest ones I do are the one people will still get like their husbands or wives' names tattooed on them, because that's usually just I'm covering it up like 3 months later. So,
Yeah. Oh, I know what you're back for.
yeah,
Uh,
exactly. Yeah, be glad I drew this where I know how to cover it up. So
yeah. Well, who's writing the grooves in this band? Because you and Dustin, I mean, the rhythm section in this is just incredible on this band. Is who's doing the music? Is it all of you guys? Is Steve involved? What's going
all
on?
of, all of us do. Yeah, Steve will come up with snippets for riffs, and then we'll get together and just kind of piece them together at rehearsal. And then Dustin, he's like a multi instrumentalist. He can play everything: drums, bass, guitar. So there's times he'll come with full recorded songs, and we'll just take his songs and maybe change them up a little bit here and there for lyric purposes, or some dynamics like that we think of. But everybody contributes. Even me. I can't play guitar, but I can hum a real mean riff. So if I get an idea and I'm like dun dun dun, and everybody seems to usually pick it up pretty quick. So
Yeah,
yeah.
man. Or do you use thick drumsticks? Because your sound is just massive.
They're just an average. I use 5 Bs, which is basically if any drummer knows anything, it's a standard thickness, standard length. It's not thin, but it's not baseball bats either.
Yeah.
It's what's comfortable for me with the weight and like the size of my fingers and how I play. It's over years of playing, you try different sticks, and there's been times I've changed here and there because like, oh, I like this, but then I find out, yeah, it's not really working for me. Sometimes maybe your hands get a little more fatigued or something, and you start to realize I shouldn't have switched from before. So yeah, they're just like a medium thickness, pretty much.
Yeah. We're chatting with Larry from Chokesetter. Go check them out there at chokesetter.com. They're on Facebook, Instagram, Spotify, YouTube. Their new self-titled album is out now, and go and check them out online or on their social media because they're heading back out on the road again next month. Well, the new self-titled full length, I had you guys on a couple years back. I mean, most of these songs I've heard. So, I mean, this isn't your normal album where you guys just went in and recorded it in a week. I mean, tell us the progression of this thing.
So the original version was recorded. We started recording it in like 2019, and then by the time it was ready, we were getting ready to have a release party for it. It was scheduled for April 1st, 2020. And you can imagine what happened
Yeah.
in middle March. So the world shut down for about a year and a half. We didn't play a single show. So we had all these CDs and we sat on them. And then when we started playing again and we were getting momentum, we were selling what we had and we kept replenishing that. Well, then when Pavement came along and we were in the works of discussing working with them to release something under their label, we'd ask them, "What do you want like us to do? Something new, or what do you think?" And they were like, "Well, why don't we just release what you have?" And we were like, "Well, if we're going to do that, since we've already kind of been selling it as is, let's do like a 2.0 version." So what we did is we took our old recordings, we completely remixed the drums, and Dustin recorded all his bass lines over the songs. So the old bass player on that record is nowhere to be found. It's all Dustin's tracks, the way he plays them and wrote the music, because he did bring something to the table when he joined the band. And then we remixed everything and then had it remastered through a guy named Alberto Icaza. He's worked with mastering albums for Clutch, Crowbot, some pretty huge bands. And then we did a completely new album cover with lyrics. And so it's basically the old record, but with just some new tricks and remastered, a couple new songs. One's a live one. And so that way, if people buy that record, it sounds totally different and you're getting something like a bonus. It's not the exact same album from before, so.
Okay. Yeah, because it's the album sounds amazing. I mean, if you go on Spotify and listen to it or just buy the thing,
Yeah.
whoever mixed it did a great job.
Yeah. Dustin actually mixed all that, pretty much
Oh,
that.
wow.
Yeah. So we did a lot of the work in house. It was nice. He did, yeah, a phenomenal job. We were super stoked with how it came out. So
Yeah, I think there's like two different bass. Is it Eden and Red where he has like two different like bass little mini bass solos or something? I was like,
yeah,
I don't know if I've had an album where I've heard two bass solos on it before.
that was one thing about the old bass player. He liked to have his moments and stuff, and we didn't mind. It added different dynamics, and even like the newer stuff that we're writing and putting out, it's still got that same thing where Dustin's got like his solo stuff for bass and all that. It's the way to do it when you got a 4-piece. You can't just be the rhythm all the time. You can't be you can't be like a Van Halen, and just sit
Yeah.
there around when you got somebody like Dustin that can play as good as he can, so.
Wow. Did you guys know Dustin or how'd you find him?
Yeah, he's been an old friend of all of ours for years. We're all from the same town, so we've all played in bands like in our early 20s. We've known each other personally as friends, got over 20 years. So it was just one of those things. We were working on something new, and this is just the lineup that came together. And because we're old friends, it's a lot easier to get along and, act professionally and know what to expect of each other, that sort of thing.
Yeah, because I mean, around here, if you're a decent drummer, you're like in five bands. I'd imagine. Have you been in a ton of bands, Larry, in your life?
I have. There was a point I had to stop a few years ago. Well, actually, it was before COVID. I was like trying to do three, four different projects at one time, and I started to get really, really bad anxiety to where I was having panic attacks because I had so much going on with all of those bands, and with work was extremely busy, and I just didn't realize I wasn't giving myself enough time to breathe. So when I got diagnosed for it and stuff, he was like, "You need to make a list for everything going on," and I had to cut the fat. Chokesetter was my favorite project, and it was the one that was doing the most. So everything else, I was like, yeah, guys, sorry, I can't do it anymore. And it's been a lot easier since. Sometimes, I mean, now that Chokesetter is so busy, and I handle a lot of the booking, the art, the promotion, all this stuff. I'm like, wow, I feel like I'm right back to square one, but just with one band, three. So
Yeah.
like, kind
Well,
of like, yeah, it's like as long as my heart palpitations don't start back, I'll be fine. So
yeah. Exactly. That's a good and bad thing when
yeah,
you're doing so much for one band. Yeah, because I love on the website it says get a hold of Lawrence Bennell, which I imagine is you if I didn't butcher your last name
it is.
for booking
It's like
shows.
nobody's gotten a hold of me. The reason I did that was because I was like, I was always every time I reach out to promoters, agents, whatever, to try and get booked, I never hear anything back, and maybe it's because I'm one of the band members. So maybe if I pretend I'm a booking agent and I represent the band instead of, I'll be taken a little bit more seriously. But I tried it, and still I'm like, yeah, I'm not getting any responses this way either. So I'm just gonna go back to being Larry, but I forgot to take that information off of the website. So thanks for reminding me. I got some updating to do anyway this week. So, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a few things on the website. Put the new tour stuff on there.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah, I know. I need to, man. It's just so tough.
oh yeah.
Sit down and do that, because yeah, you don't even get me started. It is. I try like to just make sure that I dedicate as much time as I can, but there's not enough hours in a day sometimes. So
No.
yeah,
Artemis Interlude. This comes up, and I was like, "Am I? Did the channel change? Is this the same album? Whose
yeah.
idea was this?"
Um, the simple story to that song is Steve had that song recorded. Just he did it himself, and I was like, I'd really like to have one more song on this record. And so I was like, why don't we just throw this in the middle of it? And it's like one of those weird bonus transitional tracks that, like, if you had the cassette, it would be the beginning or the end of side A to side B, or kind of.
Yeah.
That's basically it. There's no meaning behind it. There's no nothing. It was just Steve had it recorded. I was just like, let's throw it on the record. Well, not me, but all of us. We're just like,
Yeah.
let's throw it on the record. Nine. That way we got a 9-song record. It was 9 songs at that time. So yeah, that's how that song ended up on there. So
Nice. Yeah. It doesn't. It's not Chokesetter. Or it is, but it's like, yeah. When it comes on, I was the first time I heard it. I was like, "What the hell? Did
yeah,
Spotify change on me? What happened here?" No.
yeah, it's one of those things, man. I wanted to go so far as to put like a wind and some birds or seagulls in the background, but it never made it that far. So I was like, at least give people the illusion maybe we're outside or something. But no, it just stayed the way it was. So um, it's a fun little ditty, man. I like to mix it up, and like you said, I wasn't expecting that. I mean, that's the whole point of a record to me. Is you got to surprise everybody once in a while. So.
Exactly. What I mean, does Jesse do all the lyrics?
Mostly. Believe it or not, I have done. I've written a couple of songs all the way through. Like the song "These Stones." Those lyrics are all mine. Um, there's been some rewrites in some of the songs. Like I'll help him out with a chorus or something like that. He'll kind of have like an idea, and finally, when he gives me the lyrics to read, I'll be like, um, if I have any grammatical things I have to say, because I'm like, yeah, this pretty much makes no sense the way you're reading it. When that doesn't happen too often, it's just because, uh, Jesse's thinking on how to vibe with the song and his style and stuff. But he does a majority of the writing and the song titles and stuff. But then I do. There's a few times I'll write a whole song, and I definitely help him out with lyrics. So
Yeah, because I love Red, and when you listen to, I mean, this is about what, a redheaded lady.
he wrote that for his wife. Yeah,
Okay, that's what I was gonna say. Who is this about?
yeah, that's the song about his wife actually. And it was great because when we were writing that song and he was singing about it, and I was looking to the lyrics, I'm like, this is like it's like a ballad, but it's like it's us, this is how it should be. And yeah, it's such a great song. That's definitely a crowd favorite, man. The women love it when we play that song, and you just see everybody getting into that one. That's one of my favorites to play. So I'm glad he wrote that one. So
Well, yeah, because and a few of them are like stories. Yeah, I like how he writes. Or
yeah,
that's
yeah, and like another thing I give him credit to is probably God, the only band I've ever been in, there's never any profanity in our lyrics, like whatsoever. So I think we say the word ass and motorboater, but it's more just kind of like, jive ass rather than, hey asshole or something like that. So,
yeah. It's
so
not.
but
Yeah,
oh,
oh, that's great. No, and I mean, you guys have to hear it everywhere. It even says it in some of the reviews. The clutch comparisons. I'm not. I mean, always. I'm not, or I wasn't. I saw them this year at Aftershock, and they were good. But I've never been really a Clutch fan. But I love you guys. I think you're more groovy, and I like your songs a lot better than theirs. But I mean, you got to hear it all the time.
yeah. I think a lot of it too is Jesse's mannerisms.
Yeah,
Because he's really engaging, like Neil from Clutch is as well. Um, but yeah, other than just having like a funky groove to our songs, I don't mind the comparison at all. But to me, it's kind of like what it's the easiest way to describe us to other people. Like, oh, do you like Clutch? Well, then you'll love Chokesetter. But I mean, there's a lot of other influences as well. I think one of the best influences that somebody actually gave us on tour, this when we were out with Crowbot, was like, he was like, it'd be like if Clutch and Pantera had a baby. And I was like, that's pretty awesome, actually. You know what I mean? So because we definitely do like heavier stuff than Clutch plays, but yeah, we can't get away from the groove, man. It's what makes it fun, and it's just true because like we've all played in like at one point or another speed or death metal bands, and it just makes it heavier to me if you can have a groove and focus on those chunky riffs that make you just bob your head instead of going 500 miles an hour. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
I love the groove for sure.
yeah. That is a good comparison. And you have your down shirt on, so
I do. Yeah. It's backwards though, so it says almost says like it says wood.
yeah, yeah. It is weird looking, but yeah,
Yeah,
I know what it is. So
yeah, yeah.
that's good. And down, I think they're coming back, or well, probably not ever, since Pantera's on this Pantera
No, they're
reunion
uh
forever.
they're they're writing a new album right now,
Yeah,
actually.
that's what
Yeah.
I thought.
They're finishing it up, and then I think Pantera's doing some more touring. Corrosion of Conformity, they're going on tour with Alice Cooper and Judas Priest this fall. And then they're actually Corrosion of Conformity is doing a few solo shows in between, and actually they're doing one at Pierre's in Fort Wayne, Indiana, and we get to open for them. So that's going to be an exciting show. We're really stoked about that. Corrosion of Conformity is one of my favorite bands, so I'm really excited about that.
Well, yeah, and I was going to ask you about that because I saw that. So it's just the one date in Fort Wayne?
Yes, that's
Okay.
the one we're playing. Yeah, they've got a handful of dates, I think, in various spots.
Yeah, they've
Oh,
got like five or six and
yeah,
end of September, first of
yeah, but
October.
no, we're not on the whole tour or anything. It'd be nice to get that big. We're working on it. We'll get there someday. We just got to keep chugging along, chipping along.
Yeah. Well, how much has Pavement helped you guys? I mean, they've had to help quite a bit.
They've given us like they always have touring opportunities. The problem is that a lot of them are buy on tours, which isn't a bad thing because some of the opportunities are really phenomenal, but it's the money, man. I
Yeah.
mean, yeah, you get a buy on to do a tour with somebody huge like Power Man 5000 or Billion Head PE, but they want like $25,000. I'm like, well, yeah, sorry, man, I don't have that kind of money. But there's been a couple of things that Pavement's helped us out with like just one-off shows and promotions, putting the word out for us about a couple of things here and there. But I mean, on for the most part, we do a lot of what we're doing ourselves,
Yeah.
which is something to be said. It's good to know we're getting this much headway doing it on our own because we're learning as we go, and that's I think going to help our profession out with. Hey,
There's
well,
a cat.
yeah, I know she's back. She's like, "Who are you talking to?" Um, but yeah, I know pavement's great. Pavement's great. But yeah, we're just kind of doing our own thing right now, and they help out as much as they can, and that's kind of how it's going. So,
Well, that's good. Well, then what's the run in July? Is that just you guys?
well, July is only a couple of days actually. It's just a weekend run. It's right in our backyard. It's just two Indiana shows, but we're doing them with a band called 20 Watt Tombstone, who actually is pretty well established. They're like just a duo, a guitar and drummer, and they've kind of got like a heavy bluesy kind of style too. They're phenomenal, man. It's funny. I found out about them and I listened to them, and then a friend of mine in another band says, "Well, I know that guy," and he got me talking to him because I was like, "Hey, what's it going to take to get you down here to play?" And months later, the guitar player Tom and I are like really super good friends. Like, so we talk like all the time, maybe God every other day. You know what I
Wow.
mean? So that relationship's developed into a friendship, which is it's amazing to me because I'm like, at first I was fanboy, but now I'm just like, oh hey man, what's going on and hey stuff like that. But I'm really excited to do a couple of dates with them, and it'll probably turn into something later on next year where we could do a lot more with them and stuff because they got a really good thing going on. So, but that's just the Indiana thing is just a couple of uh, weekend dates in July, and then I think we've got one show in August, and then September is the Corrosion of Conformity show, and we've got a 4-day run that we're doing in September, which is basically going to be Detroit, Battle Creek, Dayton, Ohio, and Lexington, Kentucky. And then I think that's it for the year right now. We're going to buckle down and get some new material so we can re-release, or we still re-release, so we can release a new record next year because we've been sitting on a lot of new songs. We want to get these out and get that album out as well. So
Yeah. Well,
yeah,
that was my next question because I figured after 3 or 4 years of sitting on this thing, you had to have a ton of new stuff in the can. So
yeah. No, we're ready. We've been playing like 3 or 4 new ones on the road, just so we don't get burnt out on the old stuff. And people are like, "When are you going to play that?" And blah blah blah. And we're like, "We're working on it." So those are ready to go. We're definitely going to get those recorded here in the next few months and stuff. And might release a single here and there. We actually have to sit down and kind of think about strategically how we're going to do it because we want to do it the right way without affecting the new honeymoon period for the album we
oh,
just. You know what I mean? So
Yes,
that's
exactly.
what we're working on. Yeah.
Yeah, even though you guys have been sitting on it for 3 years, you got to let everybody else enjoy it for 6 months
Yeah,
to a
yeah,
year.
exactly. Especially since we're kind of breaking out of the regional area thing. You know what I mean? So now that we hit the East Coast and stuff, and going to try and hit the South again, go back out west next year, hopefully. Yeah, we'll definitely have to do a little bit more promo for this record, but it won't hurt to throw a couple of singles out here and there. So that's the plan, is just to keep releasing content but not overdo it.
Have you released Red before or any of the? Because I mean, we've done a couple of Motorboater and
Red was
Barn
our
Burner.
first record. Yeah, it wasn't promoted as a single or anything, but no, Red's not a new song. That's definitely been one of the OG ones.
Yeah, but yeah, even if you threw it out as a single or a standalone single or something.
Yeah, we talked about it, maybe doing a video for it too. Yeah, there's a lot of things we got to sit down and talk about now that we're off this tour. We were like, okay, as soon as we're done, we got to sit down and buckle down, and we just haven't had time to all four of us sit down and nail out the schedule yet. So
Yeah.
we're gonna work on that for sure.
Well, keep your eye on them. Go and follow them. Go check them out on Facebook or on Instagram. Go to Spotify, listen to the new one. Go and buy it. Go to chokesetter.com. And they're got some dates in July, August, September. So keep looking, keep following them. Big things coming for Chokesetter. Larry, thanks so much for your time.
Thanks for having me again, man. And please keep in touch. And I hope everything's going good with you and the show and the family and everything.
Right on. Well, go check them out. It's Chokesetter. It's a takeover.